Hi, I'm Jordan Smith from Rapido Trains Inc., and I'm here with...
Matt Gentry from Rapido Trains Inc.
And where's Jason? Well, we're here at Spring Creek Model Trains in beautiful Deshler, Nebraska to give you a first look at our pre-production hand-painted U25B samples in HO scale. So why don't we have walk over to the table now and have a look. Here we are behind the table with the bright red, action red tablecloth. And we've got our two U25 samples here. We've got the low-nose Santa Fe and the high-nose Union Pacific version. Just to give you a quick background on the U25Bs, these were built in the kind of late 50s through early mid-60s by General Electric and were GE's first really mass-produced four-axle road switcher locomotive. 2,500 horsepower, and they built many of them.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
These are some of our first injection samples out of the mold, so there are a couple of details missing, you know, like rivets and that sort of thing. But we have had these custom hand painted by Jason Quinn of Quinn's Weathering Depot.
First off, let's have a look at the low-nose Santa Fe unit.
Sure. The front pilot and anti-climbers are specific to this phase of low nose for the Santa Fe's. We have our number board housings. We have our can antenna on top of the roof, and then the class lights are in the correct location on the corners of the hood. Coming back down the long side of the hood, we have our walkway, which again have early injection sampled, so there's no walkway tread added yet. But the Santa Fe version is specific in that the raised walkway over the rear truck is extended, and that is a Santa Fe specific feature. We have the etched see-through grills, and as you can see on this model, this has a dynamic brake grid behind the etchings. Then we go up to the roof of the locomotive and we can see all the radiator piping underneath the walkway etchings on top. And then we come back to the rear of the hood and we have our correct located class lights and our number boards. So moving to the UP unit, we have the front pilot, and then we have the prototype specific steps for the high hood units, which were only on the early production units. Moving up on top, we have the high short hood along with the high located number boards. This is one of the refinements that we have made in getting the height of the number boards corrected in the tooling. Going back to the cab, we have our mirrors and wind wings fore and aft on the windows. Another one of the modifications that we've made to the mold is the slope sides of the roof. Right now we currently have them as tangents. There should be a slight arc to them. We have got that added and revised in the tooling and will be updated on the next test shots.
Beautiful.
Back behind the cab, again, we have our more traditional walkway, which has the normal length raised section over the rear truck. Again, we have the etched see-through body details, and you can see the dynamic brake grids behind them, as well as on top you see different radiator piping beneath the raised radiator walkway.
Oh. Ooh.
Now looking at the rear, you can see all the intricate detail we've included on these models.
Right, and on the Union Pacific, which is the early version, we have the early style front pilot and anti-climber, which is curved, and then we have the early vertical steps going up the sides of the corners.
You also have both versions of the coupler cut bars as well, the early style on the Union Pacific and later style on the Santa Fe.
Right.
We've also got the etched metal drop steps, which are positionable either in the up or down position.
Now let's look at the underbody details on these models. The Union Pacific, which is the early version, has the wider fuel tank up front, as well as longitudinal air tanks behind it. The later style, which is the Santa Fe, has the air tanks fore and aft of the fuel tank and a larger capacity fuel tank for longer distance travel.
It also has kind of the beveled edges instead of the curved edges on the earlier UP units.
Right.
And also look at all that detail under there. We've got all the electrical conduit, all kinds of brake detail and plumbing and whatnot that you would see on a real U25B.
Absolutely.
Keep in mind, if you're an expert on pretty much any model that we've announced and you see something that might be out of place, make sure you get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you and make sure our model is as accurate as possible.
Oh, yes. Okay. Here's 3. Oh, beautiful. Now we're talking.
Thanks for joining us today for this quick look at our pre-production U25B samples, and special thanks to Spring Creek Model Trains in Deshler, Nebraska for allowing us to shoot here in the store.
Remember that the order deadline for these units is April 15th, so make sure you place your pre-order with your
All right, guys, I've done my shopping.
Jason,
Are we ready to do the video yet?
what are you doing? Those are the only samples we have.
You're going to pay for all that, right?
Thanks everyone for. Forget it. I'll get it here.
Why, guys, you didn't hit me up. I have complete drawings of this U25B. You know, everything is wrong with this. If you guys just would have asked, I could have helped you out.
What's wrong with you? What is wrong? Well, how would we know to contact you?
I don't.
You're
I
such
have
a,
the drawings. I have the drawings.
Noogies, you're getting noogies.